Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Maker Spotlight Friday Maker Spotlight. I'm here with Sonam. Hello, Sonam.
Hi, Arjun. So nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well. How are you doing today?
I'm good. These Fridays have becoming very interesting with all these maker spotlight and whatnot.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? I like
It totally
it's
is. And
like go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just saying that today's topic is particularly very interesting to me, so I'm just pumped.
Yeah, it's the new hottest topic in
I
large language
know.
models, right? So
Totally.
from my perspective, what I think is happening is that people have realized that if you just take straight up some large language model, generate some output out it can be very difficult to productionalize because now you're like,
Yeah.
okay, how do I ensure that what is being said is not being hallucinated? Or how do I ensure what is being
Hmm.
said aligns with what is going on with my company or my organization? So it makes a lot of sense that you have companies like Cohere release endpoints that allow you to do retrieval augmented generation in order
Yep.
for more grounded type of generation. So you can get these
Exactly.
outputs that might be on your company database, for example, or might be real articles that happen on the web, or might be a Wikipedia page or things like that. What do you think, Sonam?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Just yesterday I was having this debate with a friend who he was on the side that why do we need to use RAG? And I was here completely boasting and cheering that yes, RAG is needed. I mean, it's an external knowledge base. You're going to have some good use of it. So yeah, I can totally see like how people would be using RAG or how they're already using it, and it's very powerful, especially when it comes to reducing hallucinations. So yeah, I'm totally with you on board with that.
It also feels like this interesting in between step between large language models and like raw generation, RAG, and then agentic behavior, where
Mm,
you have in the middle, you have like some large language model that links into the web or links into some external database and kind of operates on the context that's retrieved there. And then you have agents that like actually can conduct actions based on the query that has been inputted. I've seen some really interesting RAG use cases where people not only attach into text databases, but also allow for like querying of actual databases. So if you want to
exactly.
search
Yeah.
over like some SQL query on some actual database, in addition to the text data you're interested in kind of gathering and outputting backward,
Yeah,
it's kind of a natural progression from that point. But
I agree.
today we're going to be going over an interesting demo made by someone part of the Cohere community.
Hmm.
And I'm interested to see that because I think the RAG endpoint is pretty new. So seeing people build on
Exactly.
top of that is going to
Yep.
be very interesting.
Yeah. And also like Cohere is coming up with this Coral Rag hackathon on November 10th, I think on November 10th for 6 days. That will be cool. The people whoever whatever they'll build, that's going to be fun to see. But yeah, are you ready to jump in for today's demo?
I think so. I think we should invite our demoer onto stage. What do you think?
I'm totally with you. Let's go.
All right, sweet. Uh, oh, that is the wrong screen.
There you
There
go.
we go. Hi, Aniz. How are you doing?
Hey, Anis.
Yeah, hello.
Hey,
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
All right,
yeah.
great.
Thank you,
Uh,
Arjun. Thank you, Sonam,
No problem.
and
Happy
thank
to
you for
have
having
you
me.
here. Yes.
Yeah, hope you have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
all right,
And
well, we'll hand you the floor, Aniz, and you can get going with your demo. How's that sound?
yeah, it's great. Okay, actually, yeah, we can get started.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, so the project which I did is a bot called Sheraton Bot. It is an AI assistant chatbot. What is Sheraton Bot and what it does? It basically acts as a hotel receptionist and guides the user to book a room, or it can answer all the queries related to the hotel. It for example, yeah, I am a customer and I ask the bot that I want a room. Then uh, yeah, it will ask the basic procedures of a receptionist, like checking date, checkout date, number of guests, the type of room they need, and even I can ask questions back, like some random questions. If I think like, can I get a coffee at 1 a.m., 1 in the morning? And most probably it will say no, but yeah, I can ask. And yeah, that's it. That's just a basic introduction. And I think I should move on to the live demo. And this is the, is my screen visible? I
Yes.
think it's visible.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll move on to the demo. Yeah,
Okay.
okay, thank you. Thank you. And I'll move on to the demo. So if I type in hi, it's generating a response. Okay, hi, I am here to help you book a room at 4 Points by Sheraton Hotel. That's the name of the hotel which I gave. To begin with, could you please provide me with your name? Yeah, of course. My name is Aniz. Uh, yeah, hi Anis, and that's the response. And it just asks the checking date, checkout date, and following this, it asks how many. The bot asked how many rooms, like how many, yeah, what kind of rooms you require and how many people are there. And I can say like we are four, and I need a single. Yeah, and it says the details of the room and everything. Yeah, and we can continue the conversation, so and so on. We can ask questions. It's just response, and that's it. And I think that's with the demo. And let's move on to the working of the like the code. I have written a blog based on the Sheraton board. It contains my findings of and the difficulties which I faced while building. I haven't faced much, yeah, still. It's just about my findings and the way which I build the board, and I think it will help others. So here it is: chatbot developed using RAG endpoint, uh, a RAG-enabled chat endpoint from Cohere, and now yeah. First of all, we need to set up our environment and dependencies. Of all things, we need to install. Um, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Before that, the chatbot is completely done in Python. It's completely done in Python, and it utilizes the endpoints from Cohere. And for starters, we need to install the libraries. The libraries which we will be installing is Cohere and Streamlit. Streamlit is a Python framework which allows users to build web pages. And after installing the dependencies, we can actually move on to adding our API key. To add the API key, just visit cohere.com and create your account. Then head to the dashboard and then create your trial API key. After creating the API key, what I need you to do is you should go and create a .streamlit file for folder, and inside that folder, just add secrets.yml file. It stores your secrets. That's it. And in that file, just add your API key, and that's it. That's step number one. And moving on to the next, we have to set up a config file. The thing is, it used to enable media embeddings in Streamlit. It's just basics, like basic stuff of Streamlit. You can just follow a copy paste thing. And next is a second part, second thing, that is the main our Python file. And as for it, I have like done the imports, set up a Cohere client, and yeah, that's Streamlit stuff. It's just setting up the page title and right, giving a subheading for it. Yeah, and one of the key part of the project is a knowledge base. Setting up a knowledge base for RAG, as in retrieval augmented generation. For that, I have created a variable docs in which I have given my database. As of now, I have just given a small piece of the data which I have provided. If you want, you can add more. If yeah, the more, the better. And moving on to next is setting up our chat functionalities. If you move to chat functionalities, I would like to divide it into three parts. First is setting up the prompt. Then second will be the endpoint, and third will be the logic of the chat. And yeah, the first part, which is a prompt. I have actually given a prompt like you are an AI assistant of 4 Points Hotel. That's the hotel which I referred, and you should help customers to book rooms and so on and so on. That's the prompt which I gave, and I have appended the prompt to chat history as user, like role, user, message, and prompt. Then I give a response like a response which is related to the prompt, like role, chatbot message. Yes, understood. I will act accordingly and will be polite, short, and to the point. That's the thing which I gave. And for better understanding, I will show this in like in Core. Okay, and this is Core. I have already added it, and I have given the prompt which I gave, and I will ask you will. Yeah, and it responded, yes, I'm ready to assist you with your queries and how can I help you today. And the responses which proceeds this will be based on the prompt which I gave. So the same logic is the one which I have used in my bot to build my project. Yeah, and that's the first part, adding addition of prompt. And the second part, yeah, before moving to the second part, I would like to say that I have added a custom CSS. It's basically because I'm a designer, so I like to keep things pretty and neat. So for the sake of that, I have added a CSS. If you don't want, then don't bother with it. You can move on. Yeah, and this is the second part, that is our endpoint, which is Cohere's RAG-enabled chat endpoint. Yeah, if the customer initiates a prompt, if the customer initiates a prompt, it calls the chat endpoint, and the response from the endpoint is stored in a variable on LLM response. Okay. Speaking of chat endpoint, I think it is yet another powerful tool from Cohere, which is RAG enabled by default, and it has some great functionalities. As of now, I have there needs to be certain parameters which needs to be added. Those are like first one is message, that is a customer prompt. Second is documents, that's I have added docs which I have mentioned earlier. Third is the model, that is command. Command is actually a flagship generation model from Cohere. If you want, you can use other models, it's completely up to you. And the next is the temperature. I have set it as 0.5. It's like let's say 0.5 because yeah, to stay creative while sticking to the knowledge base, that's to be best of both worlds, and 0.5 I have set it. The next is chat history. uh, Chat history is like the main thing, it gives the context to the conversation. And the prompt truncation, if in any case the like the token limit is exceeded, then it truncates. Then that's the second part. First we have done the prompt, and the second it is the endpoint. And I almost forgot the new endpoint from Cohere. It literally has three modes. That is, one is document mode, second is query generation mode, and third is connector mode. I have used document mode myself, and you can play with the other modes in the playground. Just visit the website. Yeah, and this is something extra stuff which I gave. I have to get a summary when the customer gives a prompt of confirm booking. It calls a summarization endpoint from Cohere. It is like an additional feature which utilizes a summarization endpoint from Cohere. What it does is that it takes in the chat history up until the the user gives confirm booking, the conversation chat history up until then. It gives this chat history as input to the summarization endpoint, and it summarizes this chat history and it gives it back. So yeah, and where I have given it is just below the code chat. Okay, so after that, I will show you the code. Like this is the code. Yeah, this is the code. I have added the chat history. Sorry, I have added the endpoint, then the summarization endpoint. Then later I have appended the response to the corresponding from the message from the user and the message from the chat endpoint into the chat history. And later we can, and that is the second part. That is the endpoint, and later it's the third and the last, which is chat functionalities. Moving on to chat functionalities, what I mean by it is, you see in here we can see that at right we have the user which is said hi. This is actually a screenshot, and at the left it says hello, I'm an AI assistant, and so and so. And you see it creates an interface with the user and the chatbot, and that interface is mainly created with the help of these few lines of code. And yeah, it's up to you. You can modify it in any way you want. It's up to you. And the next, it's the input field with the key customer prompt. It's where the customer enters a prompt and it gets stored as into the key customer prompt. The next is the button which clicked calls the callback function. The callback function is a function. Uh, yeah, the callback function is a function which contains the chat endpoint and summarizer. And yeah, this is basically the callback function. And moving on, that's the main function. And yeah, don't forget to call the main function. And yep, and finally we can deploy it to Streamlit has a cloud functionality which can host it for free. I think it's better to create live of your project for future use or for people to use. And as for conclusion, I think it was a pretty exciting project for me from my side, and the chat endpoint from Cohere. I think it's like a game changer. It simplifies the process of creating a RAG enabled chatbot. The thing is, it's quick and it's easy to use. So it would be exciting to see what people could do and how people like the community can benefit from this endpoint. Yeah, and that's it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And there's also an community of Cohere in Discord. I have been there, and it's really helpful and supportive. And to see the code, I have actually hosted it in GitHub. You can just see the GitHub, and yeah, the live deployment is ready. And yeah, I think that's it. And I'm handing over to the team.
That was very cool, Anis. Thank you so much for walking us through the demo and your blog. The blog is really well written, I must say. And yeah, you did a wonderful job. And we already have some questions coming in the chat. There's a lot of enthusiasm, I can see. Um, so yeah, should we start the Q&A, Arjun?
Yeah, I also want to say that was the first thought that came to my head too. Like, it's really hard to find a well-written blog post, especially
Exactly.
with new tooling that comes out like Cohere's RAG endpoint. So thank you for taking the time to create this blog post and these. A lot of people have been asking for it in the chat. So when you have a second, go ahead, drop it in there so people can take a look. But yeah, let's pull in some of these questions. So I
Yeah.
think I see the first one. Mohammed asks, is it possible to create some sort of workflow that can be triggered in the chat? Aniz, I think you've kind of gotten to maybe the first level of like what this workflow would look like, but could you describe like what your thoughts are on this?
Yeah, I think it's possible to create a workflow. It's You should actually do a research on it. And like I have just done the basics of basics, and with a little more research, I think you can manage to create a workflow.
I
Yeah.
think one example of an interesting workflow would be like if you ask for availability, and maybe you've generated some sort of dummy data set
Yeah.
of like availabilities and rooms and prices. Maybe the model could trigger some requests toward that data set and return the results that way. And that way, not only are you doing RAG over whatever knowledge the model already has, but you also can access the database of information that people might be interested in. So maybe that's like one workflow you can experiment with. I know that the Cohere endpoints don't have support for that explicitly, but I think there are some frameworks out there that allow you to do that with just LLMs and kind of teaching them to be agents or whatever. So very cool. Sonam, you want to take the next question? I think we have another one somewhere in here.
Yes. Sure. 1 second. Let me get. There we go. All right. So we have a question from Kevin on LinkedIn. He asks, "What's the benefit of using RAG in a chatbot?" It's a good question.
So, Aniz, why don't you answer this in the context of your
Yeah.
chatbot? Why did you reach
Yeah.
toward RAG over just like
Mhm.
using the Cohere endpoint, for example?
Yeah. The reason why I use RAG is because, um, yeah, like directly I will just show it. So the reason I used it is it's pretty easy to use. First of all, it's that's the case. It's easy. It's not that complex. Even beginners can use it. That's the first reason. And the second is that by adding fine tuning can be done, but I think most of the cases RAG is enough. And by adding a knowledge, custom knowledge base to it, I think we can, let's say, like short, streamline the responses from the bot. Yeah, streamline the responses of the output of an LLM, like to a targeted information without actually modifying the basic structure by just giving some prompt. I think it's a much easier way to get the response which we need. Yeah, and that's basically why I have used RAG.
Awesome. Yeah. So, Arjun, do you have any questions or addition to answer to that or ask?
Yeah. So, one thing that I find really interesting is that you kind of took a lot of time to make your Streamlit application not look like a traditional Streamlit application, which is really great. Like, I've built a lot of
Yeah.
Streamlit apps using Cohere APIs, using my own fine-tuned LLMs, and like I know nothing about web design or how things should look. So, I'd like to hear about like when you were thinking about making the application, what about the design did you want to focus on changing and why?
Uh, like I would like to make it as what can I say, as user friendly as possible. Uh, it should be easy to use. If I am hosting a Streamlit application and others want to use it, then it should be easy for them to use. It should be easy for them to understand how the flow is, and it should be easy for them to manage and do. Yeah, I think that's the reason. And uh, um, I think that's the answer you're hoping for.
Sure, right. Like it goes a long way, right? Making small changes to make it a little more
Yeah,
visually pleasing or to make it more intuitive to
yeah,
understand.
visually
Um,
pleasing. Yeah, that's it.
exactly. And I really like the addition you made that you demonstrated in the blog post where you have a feature just to summarize all of the output
Yeah.
of the chat that just happened. And you don't do anything complicated here. You're basically just looking for if someone asks for confirming a booking or anything like that. And
Mhm,
it's a very intuitive
Mm.
heuristic for understanding how to kind of get that feedback back there. So I kind of want to emphasize that point, that decision that you made, because even though there are a lot of complicated things you can do with LLMs, like even simple rules like these can go a long way for a demo like this one. So really neat on you to kind of add that feature there. So what are your next steps with the model, Aniz,
You
or
read
with the
my mind.
demo? Exactly. So what are you going to add anything to it? Are you going to work on another project using this? Like
uh,
what are you interested in doing now that you have this MVP up?
I would like to build a little more on this project, and but not soon. I'm actually doing another project. So yeah, it also uses the same logic, but a little bit different. If you ask how to add, what to add as an extra, I would say like you can give an API call which can take in the information of the bookings and set it to like you can add it to Trivago. Yeah, like a checkout page. Like a checkout page, you can add the information or channel the information to a checkout page in which the user can just click payment. They can pay and the room and booking is confirmed. That can be maybe a next level.
That would be neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, 100%. I have a quick question. So, I know that Cohere RAG, there are like three modes: document, query, and there was one more that I'm forgetting. Connector mode. Yes.
Connector mode. Yeah.
Right. So, was there any reason why you chose the document mode, or you just happen to just randomly pick any?
Um, Actually, with the reason is that I wanted to add a custom knowledge base.
Hmm.
So I thought that document mode will be much easier way to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Gotcha.
and yeah,
That
Awesome.
makes sense. You can just
Yeah.
write like exactly what you know about the
yeah,
hotel
exactly.
or the imaginary hotel and just kind of keep it in separate documents and then let the model figure out which documents are important or not. But I agree. It would be really, we have a related question here, but I think it'd be really interesting to see this demo, but with additional data sources. Like maybe you can scrape like actual hotel pages and you can maybe mock up like, oh, like a kayak competitor or something like that, like a small kayak competitor where you just get all this
Hmm.
information from
Hmm.
different places, kind of show these things there. Another interesting application would be like looking at real reviews of real hotel websites. So if it's possible to get like reviews either scraped or through an API and then just rag on top of those and be like, hey, what do people think about this hotel or what do people think about this room and see what kind of comes out of there. That's probably a little harder to do. It's probably a little harder to summarize nicely just because there
But
are a
Yeah, it
lot
yeah,
of
takes time.
things that could come up.
Yeah,
But
but it's a really neat idea. It's a
yeah,
great
it will
idea.
be a good addition to use reviews
Yeah,
like that, besides just traditional sentiment analysis.
so yeah, related to this question, right? Like it's possible to kind of have different knowledge bases. You could concatenate all of them in the same document base. You could do something more complicated, like having other data sources. I think the Cohere API only supports, like we were just talking about, the documents and the web search connector. I believe. I don't think there's another
yeah,
connector outside of there.
yeah,
So maybe in
Yeah.
the future, there you can actually have those directly in the API. But if you want to do that now, you either have to make them into documents or do something other other separate things. And I'll highlight this last follow up from Kevin here, which is yeah. So RAG is the motivation is that you're kind of looking at a real set of knowledge that allows you to ground the generation of your large language model, so it is not as prone to hallucinations as if it were coming up with something off the top of its conditioned memory, for example. And in this case, Aniz wants to create an LLM on hotels, and there's really specific information about hotels that needs to be up to date or needs to be known. So you kind of want to use RAG over actually having an LLM generate things just straight up like that. But really cool.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Sonam? Anything else on your mind about this project?
No, I'm just eager to see what comes next after this particular part of the Sheraton bot. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot you can mess around here, and I think Aniz, if
Exactly.
you keep deciding to do it, like we
yeah,
want to hear more
Yes.
about it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
And seeing the different uses of RAG, I think that's quite interesting because I know people are debating whether to use RAG or not. So, yeah, more such demos, I'm sure it will change people's minds.
yeah.
yeah, of course.
Awesome. So, if there are no other questions, so I guess we can wrap it up.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you
Yep.
so much, Aniz, for coming on and sharing your project. Um,
Yeah,
be sure to drop a link to your GitHub and your LinkedIn in the
Yeah.
community
mhm,
Discord and this
yeah,
live chat so that we can start it, we can take a look at it, and we can learn from your learning. So thanks so much for coming on and hanging out with us. And thanks, Sonam, for hanging out with me.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Anise. Have a good one,
yep.
guys.
Thank you, thank you. All. Yep, thank you.